Joining us right now, Remo Ibrahim, who is an organizer with the Palestinian Youth Movement, LAOCIE chapter. He's committed to the struggle for Palestinian liberation and to confronting Zionism and white supremacy wherever it appears. And we're also bringing on Rich Siegel, who is a musician and activist. He was raised in what he calls the cult of atheistic Zionism, posing as Judaism. He was an active supporter of Israel, a teenage Zionist youth group president. He lived in Israel in his 20s. Then he became acquainted with Zionism's crimes. Organizing demonstrations against Zionist activity in northern New Jersey suburbs where he lives, Rich's activism hit a high note when a talk he gave in front of the Teaneck Town Council went viral. Recently, Rich was fired from a teaching job at a local music school due to a pro-Palestine Facebook post. He is director of Dair Yassin Remembered, a pro-Palestine charity and activist organization, and he's currently running for Congress in New Jersey with the Ceasefire and Justice Party. So Rich and Remo, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for coming. I thought it'd be really great to speak to both of you because you've both been involved in protesting the selling of occupied land that a synagogue did the other day. Of course, there's a lot of misinformation about what happened with this protest in LA. So before we get into what happened, Remo, but before we do that, Rich, can you tell us about what you were speaking out against, which is obviously related in New Jersey?
These Israeli real estate events have been going on for many years, and they have been flying under the radar because they are publicized in Jewish newspapers, which non-Jews don't tend to look at. I organized a demonstration against one for the first time back in 2007, so they've been going on for a long time. I found out about this one through a Jewish newspaper, and in reading the ad, I found out that they were selling not only Israeli real estate, but real estate in the West Bank. West Bank settlement homes were being sold directly to Jews here in New Jersey. So this is in violation of international law because the settlements are themselves in violation of international law. But let's be clear that even when they sell Israeli real estate, which is inside the green line, this is in violation of domestic anti-discrimination law because this real estate is for sale for Jews only. So it's redlined real estate. We had the Civil Rights Act in 1964, Fair Housing Act in 1968. So we don't discriminate in real estate here in this country, and we should not tolerate it when a foreign country decides through its Jewish community to sell redline real estate here and real estate that violates international law. Specifically, what I led a demonstration against on March 10th was another real estate event that happened at a synagogue here in Teaneck, New Jersey. The thing that was noteworthy about this particular demonstration was that I gave a talk in front of the Teaneck Town Council on February 27th in advance of this real estate event, threatening to organize a demonstration if they didn't shut it down.
There's a genocide going on right now. I don't care who that offends. More than 35,000 people have been killed. More than 13,000 children have been killed. People in this community are in deep mourning. People in this community are angry. I'm angry. What this real estate event is going to do is it's going to fan the flames. If it goes forward, there will be a demonstration. I know there's going to be a demonstration because I'm going to organize it.
That little talk I gave went viral. So as a result of that viral video of my little talk, we had about 1,000 people show up. That was what was reported in the media. I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but there were a lot of people that showed up at this demonstration at this synagogue. So basically, these events have been going on for a long time. They should not be allowed to go on. From the beginning, I tried to shut them down. I mean, I called the police, I called the FBI, I called every agency that I thought might be instrumental in shutting these events down, and nobody was interested. But it's interesting to note that in my local area, there are no such real estate events planned at the present time. So I think that the effectiveness of these large demonstrations that we've had here, it's had an impact.
So tell us about this protest, Remo, that you helped organize that happened the other day. Let's see what Joe Biden had to say about this protest that you were at in Los Angeles. I'm appalled by the scenes outside of a Das Torah synagogue in Los Angeles. Intimidating Jewish congregants is dangerous, unconscionable, anti Semitic, and un American. Americans have a right to peaceful protest, but blocking access to a house of worship and engaging in violence is never acceptable. So, what say ye to that, Remo?
I agree wholeheartedly with this last sentiment of his that engaging in violence is never acceptable. And what I will say is that it is a war crime to sell land on occupied settlements and to transfer populations into these illegal settlements. The war crime is taking place in LA. Rich can speak to how it manifests on the East Coast as well. But this real estate event advertising so-called the best Anglo neighborhoods in Israel. Anglo being the operative phrase here, was
Unbelievable.
advertised for weeks, and rightfully so. The LA community was outraged, and we showed up because we show up to confront Zionism and white supremacy wherever it manifests. That's the bottom line. And by targeting the protesters of genocide, and saying nothing about the violence of this event, and saying nothing about the violence of the Zionist mobs that attacked us for hours afterwards. President Biden, Governor Gavin Newsom, Mayor Karen Bass are all implicitly endorsing this war crime that took place within their own borders. They are endorsing this crime under the Geneva Convention, and they are completely endorsing the violence of the Zionist mobs. They're enabling this violence.
We're going to look at Karen Bass.
Los Angeles will not stand for anti-Semitism. Los Angeles will not stand or tolerate violence. And know this, those that are responsible for either will be found and held accountable. And I want to thank all of the leaders here that are standing today. Again, what you see here is a united front against violence, a united front against hate.
She's standing there with people from the Simon Wiesenthal Center. But according to A Cat with News, Twitter user A Cat with News, standing behind her was InfoWars host Adam King, who hosts his podcast show on Alex Jones's InfoWars site. And in January 2024, Adam King, and he's that gentleman with the hat on and like the white hoodie, Adam King appeared as a guest on the popular show Slightly Offensive, hosted by neo-Nazi Elijah Schaffer alongside Proud Boys founder Gavin McGinnis and neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes and white supremacist Vincent James Fox. So it's pretty rich that Karen Bass is lecturing anyone on anti-Semitism, hate, while standing with someone like that. And I think it speaks to a very scary political coupling. Of course, she's denied that she knew who was there, but I think it does. It's kind of a perfect metaphor for what we're seeing in terms of the coming together of anti-Semites and Islamophobes when it comes to Israel Palestine.
Certainly. And another irony that I found in her little clip there is the idea that those responsible for violence will be held accountable. And
Right.
let me tell you, as somebody who was there on Sunday, I can tell you exactly what kind of violence we experienced for hours in 90-degree heat. What kind of violence we saw was from Bass's own LAPD in full riot gear, who beat protesters with batons for an hour, hitting us in the chest, in the arms, in the legs, in the neck. I saw one of my comrades get hit in the face. They drew blood. Many of us were bruised afterwards. This is the kind of violence that I would hope Karen Bass would hold accountable. The other kind of violence that I didn't see held accountable, and it would have been a perfect time to do it because the police were there at the time, was the violence from this Zionist mob that appeared to harass us and to do more than harass us. I mean, I was pepper sprayed in the face. for trying to come to the aid of somebody else who had been knocked down by a Zionist. And this kind of pain that they inflict on us happened over and over and over again in the heat. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar, but pepper spray is activated by sunlight. It burns on your skin as well as in your eyes. I was sprayed right in the eyes, so it burned like hell.
Wow.
But this was happening to women. This was happening to all of our community members, the elderly. Journalists were getting hit. People who were just there to document were getting attacked by the Zionist mob right in front of the riot police. For the better part, again, for quite a long time, we saw a line of riot cops standing stock still, defending property, I guess, while the Zionist mob beat us, while they threw rocks and water bottles. One of the protesters I heard had to, um, he has dental bills now because one of the rocks that the Zionists threw landed right on his face and knocked out his teeth. We saw the police go even further than standing by and doing nothing. We saw an active collaboration between the police and Magen Am, which is a private security force that appeared to back the Zionist mob that day. And let me tell you about Magen Am. This is a security force that's based in LA, lucky us, and it recruits former Israeli occupation forces soldiers. So these are people who have experience beating and killing Palestinians in our own homeland. And then they come here and they're buddy with the LAPD and they're stealing our water. They're drinking it for themselves. I mean, it was insane to see the cognitive dissonance, right, between what Karen Bass is saying about holding violence accountable and the kind of violence that I saw that was not held accountable that day. And that's where I really want to make it clear that Mayor Karen Bass is guilty of emboldening this kind of mob violence and that it's not going to go away as long as she is tacitly approving of it.
We actually have some of these clips that you speak of. So we have a clip of the LAPD standing by while Palestine supporters are assaulted.
Get out of here, you fucking piece of shit! Yeah. Hey, where's do something to work. No, you do something. I'm trying to leave the area. Go. We are not going to We're not going to lie down. We're never going to do something. Come on, try me. Who was it? Come on.
You guys protecting her? Why aren't you guys protecting her? Shame!
They're shoving her with their baton.
Do you see how they're blocking their exit?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Let's go.
This was the situation. I mean, we had cops block off the street on one side, and then we had this mob backing us up against the wall on the other side. And then they chased us down block after block for hours afterwards. Again, no LAPD in sight, just us being followed by this enraged Zionist mob, continuing to beat people, continuing to drag people who were straggling. Folks who were carrying supplies were especially vulnerable because they were a little slower. And this is the exact same pattern that we see in Palestine, where the so-called security forces, especially in these illegal settlements, but again, I want to stress that every settlement in Palestine that's Zionist is illegal. But we see the security forces show up and do nothing and allow this mob violence to continue unimpeded for hours. And when we saw that also at the UCLA Gaza Solidarity encampment just a month ago. Same thing. The UCPD stood down for 3 hours while Zionist mob, again, a lot of the same characters, appeared throwing fireworks into the encampment and pepper spraying college students. And the UCPD, whose mission it is to protect and serve students, because I don't know what else it would be, did nothing and let these homicidal maniacs wreak havoc. And despite all of this, despite all that we've endured over the last 9 months, and especially these escalations in the last few months, we remain steadfast, we remain committed to our principles. We will confront Zionism wherever it appears, and we will not allow this kind of violence to take place in our homeland or in our own backyards.
There's so much discourse from the media and politicians about hateful rhetoric and anti-Semitism. Let's take a look at clip 8, and let's hear what some people were saying about the pro-Palestine support protesters. So they were saying sand N-words, go home. And somehow we don't hear the media or politicians condemning that. Let's take a look at this lovely woman with an Israeli flag and how respectful she was.
Don't
touch me.
Don't you touch me.
Why do you touch me?
Why are you hitting my phone with
Don't
this?
touch me, you faggot.
Why are you hitting my Oh, what the fuck?
Okay, so for those who didn't hear, she said, "Don't touch me, you F word," and then she throws someone's phone on the ground.
Wow, you hit me.
Don't touch me.
Wow, you hit me.
Don't
Get the fuck
touch
away
me.
from
I'll
me.
fuck your ass
Get
up.
the fuck away from me. Wow, crazy ass lady. All on camera. Got it all on camera.
Yes?
Wow, you're crazy. I got it all on
You're filming
camera.
my ass.
Filming your ass.
Put
Get
that
the fuck
down.
out of here.
Put that down.
Get away from me.
You're violating me.
Get away from me.
Put it down.
Hey, don't touch
Hey,
her.
get away. Hey, she's touching
You
me.
touched her. You touched
Get
her.
away
This guy
from me.
touched her.
Get away from me.
Don't touch her.
Touching
Get away
Hey,
from me.
yeah, don't touch her.
I mean, disgusting.